like hearing like they've got the genetics. Like all of fucking Australia has the genetics.
What do you think? How much of a factor is genetics?
Huge. It's in every sport, and people. You know what the problem is? It's like everybody's like white elephant, and they don't want to talk about it because the people who don't have it want to be sold that like white picket fence with the house and the golden retriever dream that they can outwork it. But what happens if the guy with the genetics wants it as bad as you do?
I understand that.
Then you're fucked.
Well,
really, genetics are the decider.
How much are you fucked?
Majorly fucked if he wants it as bad as you do. Genetics are the factor in sports. Look at, you get a dude from Kenya who never ran in his life. You get people who run marathons all fucking day. Run. You get a guy from Kenya who never even trained for a marathon. He's going to come outside shattering records on accident just because genetically he's predisposed to running long distances.
Now listen, I'm going to play devil's advocate with you, man. You know I am here because I don't know if I agree with you.
Genetics, it's not geographic. Genetics, you have to work hard. But I'm saying if we're in a world where we're given opportunity,
I understand.
If we're given opportunity, if they say, not just for fun, like, hey, you're a genetically gifted guy, you're going to the gym every day.
How much does it
So
matter?
if everybody works as hard.
If everybody works equally, genetics is the decider.
Yes.
Right.
Genetics is the decider.
Well, genetics is a factor. You said if everybody works the same.
Now, drug regime changes that.
I know it does.
Drug regime will equate depending on your level of genetics, but genetics is the motherfucker.
Well, genetics is a multiplier. And how big is the multiplier?
Depends on your genetics.
Haha, okay. But how big is the determination multiplier? Is it equal, less than, or greater than?
Let me finish my wine before I answer that shit. Fuck it.
It's interesting though, because I mean, you
It
talk
depends
about
on your genetics. But some people have a genetic for, like, they have a really big hand, but is it a strong hand?
Here's the thing that I've
They have a long arm. Some people have genetics in a lot of areas.
Here's what I've noticed about genetics. Okay.
It depends on where and what.
Okay. Now listen. I mean, we're talking about genetics in a very specific activity.
Right.
We'll talk about arm wrestling.
But that activity is very complex.
Yeah, of course, but it's still just one thing. It's not like we're talking about, like, we're just talking about for arm wrestling. We're not implying that arm wrestling genetics have application to make you a carpenter.
No, but I'm saying like this. For instance, there are guys who have genetics that have like really great hands.
Yeah.
But with that, they might have a weak ass arm and everything else.
Maybe.
So they can hang on to a motherfucker all the way to the pin pad.
Sure.
So really,
So
their genetics are still like at the amateur level in terms of a full out arm wrestling match. But when you talk about someone with genetics of the arm wrestling that might be like a LeBron James of arm wrestling that's got the whole fucking spiel, that is a problem for somebody who's coming in that's trying to outwork that.
Yeah.
It is a problem.
It's a
they
problem.
are behind
It's
the curve.
absolutely a problem.
Now, that's not everybody, but there are those weirdos.
Yeah. You know what I find? I find like it's like looking at an army of people. And I feel like the people in the third row, the fourth row, the fifth row are like all like prototypes almost. Like those really elite guys, girls, they're all like, you're talking broad shoulders, you're talking big hands, you are talking longer arms.
Right.
You know, you're talking thin torso.
Right. You're talking very big builds to weight ratio.
Right.
You're talking maximizing the weight to
and a lot
size
of
ratio
through the shoulders,
right.
into the hands.
It's V'd out.
It's V.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, but I'll tell you that I feel like that's the third row, the fourth row. I feel like a little bit of the second row starts to get weird, and I think that the first row surpasses that.
But what? What is it?
It's got nothing really to do with the physicality. I feel like the very leading edge. Look,
you're getting a little bit weird on me.
Right.
I think the most I think what he's saying is the biggest determining factor is your drive and your motivation and your work ethic.
Yes.
Above
no,
all
but what?
genetics.
But what we said is okay.
If all things
agreed.
are equal.
Agreed. But if all
and that's
things,
why you have
no,
that third.
but if all things are
fifth,
equal, what I said is if they all train just as hard.
Yeah,
like put it this
if
way.
they do,
Put it this
right.
way. Let's say
Of course
Steve
genetics
Kaplan
are
just
different.
said. Let's just say Steve Kaplan came out tomorrow and said, "Guess what, guys? Fuck it. For 2020, we're gonna have open tournaments, and the winners of each tournament are gonna be paid $1 million each."
Right.
$1 million each. Motherfuckers are gonna be quitting their jobs, training hard. Now everybody trains like they can feed their family forever on it.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you what, the dude with the genetics
Yes.
is gonna be. You're not gonna see some schlo with fucking schlumpy shoulders win that thing. You're gonna see the bad motherfucker win it. The bad motherfucker who everybody had their eyeball on is gonna win it. And they're gonna go, "Oh, we figured."
I don't think
Oh,
so.
we figured.
I don't think
Who's gonna win it? You think the guy's gonna come down from a parachute from
If that
Mars?
person has the same work,
That's a
work
fucking
ethic,
genetic freak.
Yeah.
If he's come from
No,
Mars,
it might not look like what you think.
If that
Bro.
person,
It might not look
no,
like what
Devon,
you
come
think.
on. If that
Bro.
person has the same motivation,
Bro.
like, oh, I'm gonna win $1 million.
you know what I
I'm gonna
said?
work my ass
We will
off,
never
of
know.
course.
I always said we will never know who the best armor in the
But-
world is till we all make a living doing it.
Right, and here's the other crazy thing.
If we all make a
If
living
you
doing
go
it, you'll know who the
back-
best guy
if
is.
you go back to when nobody got paid anything,
Right?
that's the same playing field.
I agree with that.
Right.
Because again, now you're looking at people who are doing it for the love of the sport, the
Right.
glory of it, and the hot dog
who
and mustard that they
wins
get,
that?
and not medicating themselves to death.
Well, the thing is too, though, love is a
Right?
very
Yeah.
like that eagerness and love without a money motivation is a very intoxicating drug as well.
Right.
Right.
Those people went just as hard because it was beyond a like. It was beyond a
Exactly.
do for money. It was a
Exactly.
passion. So it was probably more of a purity than in some ways today. Because
Well,
today
yeah.
is a money motivation.
Very
Like,
turbulent.
if I'm not getting paid, I'm not showing up.
It changes things a little bit.
Right.
And it
I
changes
just
the
think
relationship between
you asked
genetics and
you asked me a
drive.
question with genetics. Do I think? But I think even back then, genetics played a part.
Of course.
Look at your dudes who are the best.
Especially,
Tell me a best guy who wasn't a genetic fucking
I
female.
have one that'll fuck you up.
You got one. Oh, you got exceptions to the rule, but can you name 99 that are with that
And that's
rule?
why I said it's the front.
But you
row.
said how important are genetics? Okay,
And
so who's one?
That's what I said.
Who's
I
one?
said genetics are extremely important, especially for this mass.
But who's
that's-
one? And let me see the timeline and the circumstance.
All right, get ready.
Don't say fucking Oleg anymore.
No,
Who?
because Oleg.
We're gonna
has a
say
genetic kid.
Jason Vale.
Yeah, Oleg has a
He'd be. Listen, he's one of the guys that's further ahead than he should be.
But he's ahead of the curve because of the strap game.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Today he's realizing.
Yeah, and that's fine. He's ahead.
All right.
But he's
Give it
not.
to me.
He's not.
Give it to me.
Crazy George.
I knew you were going with
Of
George.
course I was. This whole thing. Yeah, that hurts a bit, doesn't it?
It's painful.
Hurts.
He's a
But
old
that
man
is a
in hell.
genetic fucking problem.
No.
No, it's not.
There's no genetic
It's
issue
not a genetic.
whatsoever.
No, you're wrong.
You tell me what the genetic is.
What's the genetic say?
He's a little
The
dwarf
tiny
with
little
a little
old man
hand
who's
that
How's
shouldn't
this?
be able to beat
All right, how's this?
anybody.
As opposed to debating that, genetics, you can't say that just because one motherfucker broke the rule,
He's the
that
front
99%.
of the spear. I'm
Okay,
not
put it this way.
talking
Put it this way.
about
Put it this way. When
the
they do,
whole
when
thing.
they look for people in the NFL, they have a prototype for
That's
each spot.
right, they do.
For each
Because
spot.
it's so easy.
They-
and
but
then
they-
you
but they
get
have-
that
they have-
exception.
No, but they got
so
they got a
far.
weirdo that's an exception. But that doesn't
Yeah.
mean
The
that
guy
exception
who,
is
the guy
any
who
the better.
failed out of the camps
My
and barely
children are
made it
sleeping.
through. The guy who was the 4th round draft pick who ends up being the MVP because you can't see it.
No, don't talk about
You
Julian
can't
Edelman.
see it.
Don't talk about that because he's not even the best in his position.
Look, I'm not talking
He's a
about
Super Bowl
anybody.
MVP. No,
I'm not
but
talking
I'll say
about
like Julian
anybody.
Edelman was one of those guys that's like not supposed to be his position. He's undersized. I'm not a football fan, but I know enough.
Who
that-
thought that Steve Nash was going to be MVP?
But what I'm saying is, that is an exception.
That's
It
right,
doesn't
it's an
mean
exception.
if you take
It's
now,
that
but now you
1%
take
exception.
no
That
okay.
tiny
Julian
sliver.
Edelman is the Super Bowl MVP.
All I'm trying to tell
He's
you
a Super Bowl MVP.
is no genetic
But-
Steve Nash should be MVP of the
But listen,
NBA.
he's a Super Bowl MVP
That's
because he was in the Super Bowl. But he doesn't rank top 10 in receivers.
I don't understand football enough to comment on any
But what
player.
I'm saying is, do genetics play a factor?
Of course they do. Massive factor.
Huge. That's all.
Especially for
You just asked me that. You're like, how big?
Right.
I'm like, huge.
yeah, but you still maybe don't disagree about who's leading the spear. You think
What,
it's
Crazy George?
I'm
Anyone who
saying-
King's move is the head of the spear.
Well, King's move is good, but I'm not saying that that's always the answer. I'm not saying that.
Genetics. Listen, your ability to King's move, why you can King's move, your range,
That's
your
not genetic.
it is genetic.
No. I used to have the most flexibility of anybody you could
No,
imagine.
I'm not talking about your range this way. I'm talking about your range reach.
Okay, actually, a short arm
Crazy
King's
George
move
does not
works
have
great.
a long arm.
Because you hit
What
the
has
guy
made
quicker.
Devon Larratt before the Kings move? Devon Larratt 2006, Devon Larratt 2000.
So
is
how much of a factor is
genetic versus hard work?
And, yeah, that's a question.
Well, I'll put it this way. I think if you took a smaller hand, a shorter arm, a smaller bicep, a fucking narrower shoulders, and you made your clone, but you made him 10 pounds lighter and a little bit skinnier everywhere, you'd smack your own ass up all day long.
Right. So, well,
You're just a...
what if you took my brain out and replaced it with a regular person who didn't really care about arm wrestling? Like, how much of it is because I care, and how much of it is?
But isn't that kind of a genetic too, though? Isn't a brain a gift?
No, that's it's not a gift of your brain. It's whether or not you
To a
decide
degree,
to
but
determine.
no.
It's a determination and
Definitely
ability to
debatable.
work ethic.
I think
Is
the
it
thought
work ethic?
process and stuff. I think that helps.
No, work ethic is something that's decided when you are
No,
young.
I'm not
whether
talking
or
work ethic. We're
No, but
talking
that
genetics.
has no, but
Well, you're
no,
saying work ethic
because
is
work
genetic?
ethic.
No, I'm saying like your brain is a gift. Like how you compute
Sure,
things.
right.
When they give you an IQ test, they don't ask you who the president of fucking Colombia was. They ask you
know
shit
that-
that's like
No,
how
they
you
give you an
solve
IQ
problems.
test, and that's what you know right now. It's not what are you willing to work for to learn.
No,
And
but I'm
that's
saying
what motivation
isn't
is
the
and work
ability
ethic.
to think, your brain, that is kind of a genetic
It's
gift.
not just, but
People
listen,
can't just make
the
themselves
ability
smart.
to think is not the same thing as having the ability to push yourself until you're fucking gonna puke. It's a completely different thing. The ability to work hard to think about something versus the
Well, I'm
ability
saying it's all. I think
to
it's all. I think it's all
the
genetic gift.
determination and the work
I think
ethic
it's all
to
something you
push
have in you.
yourself beyond. No, it's not
I'll
though.
tell you something.
It's
The
not.
people that I see in the club,
No.
okay, we have all types. We have big, we have small, we have thin, we have thick. And what I've found is it's great when somebody comes in with great genetics. It's a gift.
Right.
It's a gift. But I'll
course
tell
it's
you,
not a given.
I'll tell you that
What
that
matters
is
more
not,
than anything else is whether they're willing to work their asses off.
100%.
that is not.
See, this is where we're getting. We're starting to go to crossroads. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's the end all be all. He asked if how
No, it
much of a
helps,
difference
right.
it made.
And I agree with you.
If you took Devon Larratt and said we're gonna clone you and we're gonna put a scientist and say, okay, we're gonna make your hand just genetically. You're gonna have thicker tendons, be about 50% stronger genetically. We're gonna make you basically the big brother of yourself genetically. We're gonna just
And
born
what's
same brain, same everything. You're gonna get your ass whipped every day by your
And
clone
listen,
brother.
And what is stopping the clone brother from getting the same treatment done?
But we're going a little bit sideways
I'm just
here.
saying,
It's true.
like-
but what
like-
I'm saying is
How big
genetic.
is genetics when you can do almost anything you want if you have the desire?
You can't. That's not
People
true. That's not true. That's a lie that people tell themselves so they don't
Let me
like
tell you
go
something.
crazy.
Let me just tell you
How's
something.
this?
Let
I'm
me
gonna
tell
give you an example. Do you
no,
know what the most
no.
populous thing in the United States is? Is because it's
I
basketball.
I want to tell
Listen to
you
me. Listen to me.
something.
Do you know what every little ghetto kid wants to be in the United
Yeah,
States?
of course.
They want to be Michael Jordan.
Yes.
The
so
cheapest
do I.
thing, the cheapest sport to do
I wanna be
is
Michael Jordan.
play basketball
Yeah.
because all you need is
A pair of runners.
50 friends, a pair of sneakers, and a basketball.
Freedom.
Everybody wants to be Michael Jordan or LeBron James. How come not all of them are Michael Jordan? They play sun up to sun fucking down.
Absolutely.
They put more time in
And
on a
how
basketball
was
court.
Steve Nash the MVP?
How in the
How
fuck
did
aren't
that
they all?
happen?
You know who makes to be
Tiny little white
LeBron?
guy.
LeBron. You know who makes to be Michael? Michael. You can't all be whoever you want to be. That's like, I want to be Michael. Why the
Yeah.
fuck aren't I Michael yet?
Right.
Guess what? I am not Michael. I don't have those genes.
Look at you got Shaquille O'Neal. You got.
Well, that is different. The guy's 7'4".
I know exactly. He should be like. Well, he was pretty much the man.
Basketball is the most genetically driven sport in the world. You know that? How's this? You can suck at fucking basketball and get a scholarship just because you're 7 foot tall. You can actually blow. You can sit there, hobble over your fucking dumb feet, and get a scholarship based on being 7 feet tall.
Yeah, that's
You can
nice.
suck.
Yeah.
But you could be a great basketball player. Like, I could ball like a motherfucker, be 5'5",
Right,
and then be
but
like,
still.
we're not going to
But
give you a
still.
scholarship. Just because
But
you're not
still,
tall.
Steve Nash remains.